Debbie, you're getting a new organ. Tell me a little bit about the old one and how it bit the dust, so to speak.
Well, the old one's actually still working. It needed a little bit of work, and had some obsolete parts that we knew we weren't going to be able to get. It was a 28-year-old computer, basically. So when you opened it up, it looked like the little motherboard inside your laptop. And electronics just don't last that long, and we knew that it was a matter of time. And it had these giant speakers that needed what they call reconing, which is a lot of work and it's expensive. And we just were keeping our eyes out in case there was an organ that came available from. There's lots of churches that are closing these days, and we thought, well, if something came up that would fit in our space, then we were open to that. So. When I saw the advertisement for this organ, I made the contact and said, is this going to fit? And it's just such a great fit.
It looks, like you say, it looks amazing with what's going in. Even the sound, although it's not pitch perfect, it sounds beautiful.
Yeah. No, we're. It's amazing. It's just so in such good condition. These guys they had lots of extra time during COVID, and they spent all this time fixing up this organ. It's a real labor of love for them, and we are the beneficiaries of that for sure. And then I had a few things I wanted added to it and adjusted, and they were more than willing to do all of that work. And it's going to be just the right fit for us now.
Seems both groups talking to Ron, he's got so much praise for you folks, and you folks have so much praise for them. It's a work of love to benefit both for the continuation of this piece of music.
Yeah, and in addition to Ron and his colleague down in Chatham and our congregation here, who have been amazing in terms of their volunteering and helping get this done, there's also another crew of volunteers down at the Chatham end. And there were people from the Royal Canadian College of Organists in Windsor and from the old church that it was in, who've been helping. They helped pack it into the U-Haul. They've been, they came, they're just excited to see it come and find a new home. And these are people we've never met. And they're hoping to come to that opening concert where they can hear it played in the new space, which will be really fun to have them here.
How long has this been a work in progress then, from the time you?
About a year. I think it was October 2021 that I saw the ad, and then it was sort of a couple months. I presented it to the congregation in April. I went to the organ committee first. Well, first of all, I found out that it fit, and then I went to the organ committee, and then they did some research, and we did some testing here. Ron came out, we did some tests in the church to make sure that the sound would be good, and then we wrote up a proposal with a fundraising plan and took it to the congregation in April. So,
Ron, can I have a spelling of your first and last name, sir?
Yes, Ron, Dossenbachh.
Title?
I guess I'm the organ builder here.
Tell me about, what you've done.
Okay, about a little over 2 years ago, there was a church in Blenheim United Church was having their building closed, and they sold it, and it was being torn down. The congregation wanted to save the organ. They tried to sell it. They even tried to give it away, and there were no takers. It's a kind of a skill set is required in order to take an organ out of a church alone, let alone put it in someplace else. So you need an organ builder for that. And so we had a friend of ours that's pretty good at promoting and getting connections going, and he placed an ad in the RCCO for sales. Debbie here saw that and expressed an interest, and she came down, and they decided to buy the instrument with some modifications. And so we had to basically rebuild it with an entirely new solid state control system, and with an additional solo stop and extends into the pedal. It's a wonderful stop. And also they were concerned a little bit, if you look over here, there's an opening here that is new, we created. That's a swell box where all the pipes in this half of the organ are enclosed in there. And on the chancel side, there are, you can't see it because of the screen of the cabinet work here, but that's where there's 10 shutters that open and close to allow some expression between soft and a little bit louder. And the church was concerned because the sound was coming out the side that this division wouldn't be loud enough for this larger sanctuary, which seats 150 more than the Blenheim church. So my partner in the project, Don Pohl, suggested, oh, well, we can build an additional swell shutter panel. And so that's what we did, and we're going to be putting that in soon, and that'll be here. So now, of this box, of the swell box, two sides of it open out, so there's going to be much improved tonal egress, as they call it. And so that's what's going to happen there.
Obviously, well, how old was the other organ how old is this organ now that's here?
This organ was built in 1978, but over half of the pipes were used from the 1951 organ. The 1951 organ used a few stops from the 1910 organ, the original organ in the church. So there was originally 1910, then 1951, 1978, and now here. Now this organ was built in 78 by the Principal Pipe Organ Company, and my partner and I didn't do enough work on it to justify calling it after our name. So there's a small plaque on here that says rebuilt by Dawson-Bach Pipe Organ Services.
This is, if I can say, recycling at its best?
It is, yeah. And there's actually quite a bit of recycling. Some of the large pipes that we had to pack in the truck, we actually used the former seat cushion covers from the original church to wrap them up. And even now, they're being donated to the Humane Society, where I guess they have some kind of fiber drive that they use to raise some funds. So those seat covers alone have done a noble task all the way through all of this. Yeah, and this organ has been saved from being plowed over. Yes, indeed, and it fits in here acoustically quite well. Physically was a real challenge. There's almost no extra space in here, and I had to model all of this in a 3D CAD program to see if it would fit. And with the help of James, the organist's husband, who's been tremendous and a wizard with a tape measure. He's taken hundreds of measurements so that I could model all of this on my laptop in Windsor, Ontario. And it fits. It's exactly. We also had to make sure that the sight lines would be such that you wouldn't be able to see any of my pipes from the outside. And so it's all coming through nicely. We had to build an entirely new support frame that was about 3 feet higher than the original.
These are the old pipes on the front?
The old pipes on the front are from the original organ in this church. 1901, there was a company called Carn that put that organ in. And there's 32 facade pipes. Now, of those, there's only 12 of them that actually work. And part of the project is we agreed to reactivate them. So there are these pipes that I'm pointing to over here. They actually are going to sound again after being mute since 1995. I had to build a special chest to drive them, and in a few days they'll be working.
As a person that's never talked to an organ reconstructionist, is this rare?
No, it isn't. Actually, organs that are being transplanted or rebuilt and removed is becoming more common than the new organs going in. But new pipe organs are still being built, but not nearly at the rate that they were 30, 40 years ago even. But they are still being built brand new, but more so are the rebuilds.
And I would think, and again, cost-effective wise, this is the way to go.
Well, yes, This organ, if it was built brand new by one of the brand quality builders in Canada, it would probably be in the $500,000-600,000 range for what there is here. And this was a fraction of that cost, even with the expensive additions we made. To have a pipe shop make those trumpet pipes is really you know, quite an expense.
Last question, what's this mean to you when it all comes together, when you hear the organ playing? What's this mean to you? You're a soloist here and you have the place to yourself, but when you hear that coming through?
When I came up here and heard the acoustics, and you can even hear the ringing as we speak now, instruments, musical instruments of any kind, acoustical instruments sound excellent in this venue. And I had hoped that this organ would sound good in here, and the early testing says it will. And there's a tremendous feeling of satisfaction, mostly at having saved this organ, the rescue aspect of it. So for me, the biggest thing you asked for, the superlative, I think it's the job well done feeling. Can't beat that. Like this guy here, and there's the wind comes through here, and it comes up through a little slit. So effectively, a thin ribbon of air is coming up and it's hitting this upper lip. So that's how the pipe works. So there's what you're hearing is air in here vibrating Coke bottle style. All right? And up this row here are reeds. Now, these are a little too big for me to pull out of here and show you, but inside of there is an actual vibrating reed tongue. And it vibrates no differently than the schoolboy's ruler on the side of the desk. And as he moves up and down, he can, I don't know if you can see that little wire there, but that is like shortening the tongue's vibrating length. And so they operate completely differently than reeds. And so in here, this is the trumpet. It's the organ's out. But so when we power the organ on, just to give you an idea. It's out of tune, but it gives you an idea of what this can do. So the organist could be playing along with something like, I don't know. That tone there is what you get with a trumpet, and that really carries nicely through the church. So
That's amazing.
yeah. Anyway, it's inside here. Formerly in 1951, the organ was jam-packed full with electro-pneumatic trunk lines and little book motors that would work things, and all the stops would be working by little puffer wedge pneumatics and now it's all hardly anything. There's circuit boards in there.
This would be meticulous work, I would think.
You think right. You think right. Yeah, it's tedious. It's tedious. But there's about 6 or 7 stops on here that weren't on there. We had to add them and squeeze them in. See, that's not good. So we had to add those stops in and still try to make it look sort of okay. We took a lot of other controls that were in here, and this is the solid state control systems interface there, where the organist can do a lot of things. This organ can record a performance and play it back, which is pretty cool. So I can show you what that might be like. Watch this. We put the stops on. Cool, huh? For these pipes, they're sitting on a wind chest down there, and these two pipes would have poked their heads up over the top of our little finials here. So they had to be dropped down on a little tow board down there. You can see that? They're mounted right on the floor. Okay, so this is the bottom C and the C sharp. And you can see that over here, there's two empty spaces in the racking where they, I can almost take a camera and show you if you don't mind. Yeah. See, there's open space there for two pipes that would have gone up over the, so we had to make that little modification and sort of angled in there. So a pretty big shoehorn was needed for this job.
Debbie, can you play something?
But open diet Paisley is not too bad, the attitude. So you hear the pipe sound jumping around. You don't hear that out there. Interesting thing is, as these pipes are placed, the mouths are placed opposite to each other. So this one is aiming this way, that one's aiming that way, this one's aiming this way. And even though they're going against the wall and from the wall, you can't really tell out there.
And everything here, other than the pipes you built. Well, I guess the frames were basically.
So all of this was in Blenheim, except for
The base?
no, those were in there too. But
No, but I mean the base frame, like.
oh yeah, the frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, we made the frame, and this is new. And we made two of the reservoirs down there. We made. We replaced this. This was some unsatisfactory wood. This is called a rack board for obvious reasons. And we made new rack boards. This walk board I'm standing on we made. So we basically had to redesign how this would fit to be high enough. The previous organ would have been 3 feet lower, and it would have been talking out of a hole, and there wouldn't have been any tonal egress at all. Here, the pipes are above the tone organ, you see. So, and the ceiling here is open. So when we refer to the sound coming out of a chamber or wherever the pipes are, that is tonal egress, and that is good here.
How do you do the pitch? Like, is it these?
Different ways. Yeah, a vibrating air column changes pitch with its length. And so in a Coke bottle, you add a little water, you change the length of the water of the air column, and it gets higher as you add water. Here we have these various tuning slides that can be used to alter. That's one way. On the reeds here, it's done by just moving a wire that goes against the vibrating tongue on the inside. I can show you that on the line. So let's see if we can get this so we can sort of see. But there's a vibrate. This here has a very special curve that's critical, and this moves up and down with the schoolboy's ruler to, and that's how this particular pipe is tuned. That's how you tune a reed pipe.